In Manila, families wait for the trash bags to drop, bags filled with what someone else has already eaten, chewed, and thrown away. Why do Filipinos have to survive on the food that others didn't even finish? And how did it come to this, where what one person spits out becomes another person's dinner? This is the story of pag-pag, the meal that shouldn't exist but has to. Keep those questions in mind because their answers won't live in one kitchen. They live inside a system built to waste. The problem in the context. Here's a big picture. In the United States, roughly 1/3 of the entire food supply, once estimated at 130 billion pounds in 2010, has now grown to nearly 160 billion pounds each year, which ends up in the trash. Perfectly good meals, discarded because a tomato isn't uniform, an expiry label scared a customer, or a buffet made more than it sold. Now, imagine that same pattern repeated worldwide. That's nearly 1 billion meals wasted every single day, while millions go to bed hungry. So where does all that waste go when no one wants it anymore? Zoom in to Manila, capital of the Philippines. In the Bayside district of Tondo, one home to the infamous Smoky Mountain dump, survival takes many forms. But the harshest is found in food. People recook leftovers pulled from restaurant trash, turning what was once thrown away into dinner. They call it pag-pag, a tag-along word meaning to shake off dirt, a dish born from survival and a mirror of inequality. At night, collectors move behind fast food chains, digging through trash bags for fried chicken, rice, or meat still clinging to a trace of warmth. Some know the restaurant owners or the cleaning staff. Those small, quiet agreements can mean the difference between eating and starving. Access decides who eats. And no, this isn't American trash shipped overseas. These scraps come from local branches of global chains, the same ones that built empires on abundance and overproduction. That culture of excess makes more than it ever means to eat, and the food it wastes ends up feeding those who can't afford anything else. Looking back in history. But to understand pag-pag, we have to go back to 1898, when the Philippines came under U.S. control, a colonial relationship that reshaped its economy and diet. American soldiers arrived with rations, canned meat, powdered milk, processed food designed for war, not flavor. For Americans, it was the standard. For Filipinos, it was new. A taste of modernity, of power, of America itself. Spam, corned beef, condensed milk. They mixed into local cooking and reshaped what comfort meant. Filipinos turned these into dishes of comfort and pride. Spam salog, fried spam with garlic, rice, and egg, transformed a military ration into a beloved breakfast. And as fast food spread, Filipino taste reshaped again. Sweet spaghetti with hot dogs, Jollibee burger steaks, and countless street-side versions of fried chicken. When tomatoes became scarce and tomato ketchup ran out, one woman, Maria Orosa, a Filipino food technologist who wanted to make her country less dependent on American imports, turned that scarcity into invention and created banana ketchup. Out of necessity, she mixed mashed bananas, sugar, vinegar, and spices. Its natural color was brownish yellow, but she dyed it red so it would look like the American tomato ketchup it replaced. Over time, those new creations pushed traditional recipes aside, and imported processed food became the new normal, while fresh produce grew increasingly expensive as farmland shrank and cities expanded. No one banned local food, it simply stopped fitting the modern image. The taste of America became a shorthand for success: quick, cheap, disposable. And so, when fast food spread across the country decades later, it didn't feel foreign, it felt familiar. In that sense, pag-pag carries the legacy of empire, a direct result of colonial tastes and global supply chains that still shape what's eaten and what's thrown away. But that was then. Today, that same logic shows up in a very different form. The habits of abundance have flowed from history into the present, into the alleys and basins of Manila. How it's prepared. There, at dawn, the work from the night before turns into cooking. There's a sequence born from caution, habit, and hard-won knowledge. First comes washing. The leftovers are rinsed to strip off grease, dirt, and anything else that shouldn't be there. The water runs brown at first, then clears. Next comes sorting. Pieces divide into 3 groups: premium, medium, and low. A whole thigh with meat still clinging counts as premium. Bits of skin and crumbs settle at the bottom tier. The categories aren't culinary, they're economic. Finally, cooking. This is where survival turns into a skill. Vinegar cuts grease and kills bacteria. High heat revives texture and color, enough to fool the eye that eats first. Garlic and ginger mask the scent of old oil. Bouillon cubes, or MSG, restore the taste of meat long gone dry. Every ingredient has a reason. Every step has a practical chemistry. Trash becomes food again, or something close enough. What it costs. A standard portion of Pag, 8 pieces. Premium, 50 pesos, about 85 cents. Medium, 30 pesos, about 52 cents. Low, 20 pesos, just over 30 cents. By comparison, a fresh 8-piece fast food meal costs roughly 626 pesos, nearly $11, 10 times as much. For low-income families, Pag means the chance to eat meat once a day. It's not a choice of taste, it's a choice of survival. In a city where the minimum daily wage hovers around 610 pesos, just $10 US, a fresh fast food meal can consume a worker's entire earnings. Pag becomes the only affordable protein on the market. The math is brutal but simple. Spend a day's wages on one fresh meal, or stretch the same coins into 3. Pag isn't a preference. It's a budget strategy carved out of hunger. Why people eat Pag? So why do people eat it? Because the alternative is hunger. In Tondo, jobs are unstable. Wages lag behind inflation. Food prices spike without warning. Social safety nets, paper thin. A mother buys one small bag to share among their children. A father skips his portion so they can eat. Tests by the University of the Philippines once found that Pag still contains enough protein to sustain short-term energy, but almost no vitamins or minerals. Long-term reliance leads to anemia, growth delays, and weakened immunity, especially in children. Roughly 1 in 4 Filipino children under 5 is stunted, a silent sign of chronic undernutrition. Pag fills stomachs, but not with nutrition. It provides calories, not health. Still, when you have nothing else, it's better than nothing. It is the line between hunger and survival. The global mirror. So, why do Filipinos eat what Americans throw away? The truth is, they don't. Not literally, but they live inside the same global habits that make waste possible. Overproduction, convenience, abundance without balance. The world's food economy rewards speed and scale, not sustainability. When a restaurant overproduces, the waste is written off as a cost of doing business. But somewhere else, that same waste becomes a new meal. Globally, food loss and waste generate about 8 to 10% of all human-caused greenhouse gas emissions, almost 5 times the emissions from the global aviation industry. According to the United Nations Environment Program, more than 1.05 billion metric tons of food were wasted in 2022, equal to around 79 kilograms per person. Pag wasn't invented out of choice. It was shaped by the system itself. Through centuries of inequality, consumption, and globalization. What's discarded in one country becomes dinner in another. Yet, this isn't really a story about garbage. It's about value, about what societies decide is worth keeping. Food is just an example. The real question's bigger. When did we start treating abundance as disposable and poverty as inevitable? For more than a century, the Philippines have lived with the leftovers of imported ideas about food, work, and worth. Pag is one visible outcome of that history, a dish made from the waste that exposes what the world itself has become. Not a story about trash, but a story about what we choose to throw away.